Dietitians, nutritionists, and psychologists who work with eating disorders sometimes refer to the mindset we'll talk about in this video as the hidden diet. Watch how to recognize dietary thinking with the bright side of life. Please take a second, subscribe our channel, and let's get started. What are the signs of dietary thinking? First, you count calories, as well as carbohydrates and fats. Before you eat something, you mentally estimate the nutritional value of the food and determine if it is too big, and in practice you don't always realize it. Second, you avoid bad food. Anything can fall into this category, from French fries to cottage cheese with 5% of fat instead of 0. Third, you punish yourself for bad food. You often practice fasting after eating a piece of cake or jump rope to quickly burn a portion of salad with mayonnaise. You constantly think about how you will have to pay for this or that dish. Fourth, you practice fasting after 6 in the evening or do large intervals between meals, even if you really want to eat. Fifth, you eat less before important events, weddings, birthdays, corporate parties. All this becomes a reason to cut back on the usual diet. Sixth, you limit your intake of fats and carbohydrates, and believe the diet myths that say you need to eat less of the mentioned. Seventh, you're trying to quench your hunger with drinks. Instead of eating right away, you drink water, tea, or coffee. Eighth, you take a long time choosing what to eat. Moreover, you are guided not by your tastes and desires, but by what food is the most safe. Ninth, you try not to eat in public. Especially the wrong foods like desserts or fast food. You feel ashamed and don't want someone to consider you a glutton. Therefore, you eat all the forbidden foods slowly when you're alone. 10th, you only care about numbers: weight, waist circumference, belly fat thickness, body mass index. You focus only on them, and not on your well-being. But how actually dietary thinking is formed? People are surrounded by myths and stereotypes about food and nutrition. Here is the division of food into good and bad, and stories about how harmful carbohydrates and fats are, and the idea that your diet should be tightly controlled. If you are a woman, sexist ideas are added here. A woman should be a fragile fairy that eats only lettuce leaves and pollen. Fatphobic stereotypes also take its place. Only a thin body can be beautiful, and if you don't sit on an eternal diet, you're lazy and weak-willed. People absorb these ideas from childhood. They take root in the mind, make you feel guilty for every bite you eat, and impose severe restrictions on you. First, this starts as an open diet. You begin to lose weight intensely. You practice fasting, exhaust yourself with sports, weigh each portion, meticulously read the composition on product labels. Moreover, such behavior is perceived as correct, natural, and approved, and as a result, it becomes a way of life. Sometimes this happens completely unconsciously. You're sure that you're not on any diet, but nevertheless count the calories in the food and go to bed hungry. So after all, why dietary thinking is dangerous? It leads to eating disorders. A hidden diet is still a diet. Therefore, a person who practices it has to deal with all its side effects, including anorexia, bulimia, or compulsive overeating. It leads to weight gain. Two factors come into play here. Firstly, due to the fact that a person eats less than needed, the metabolism slows down. And secondly, after a period of restrictions, sooner or later the losing weight practice breaks down and you begin to overeat. It simply poisons life. It interferes with enjoying delicious food, makes you constantly feel guilty, count calories, punish yourself with hunger strikes and kilometers wound on a treadmill. It supports diet culture. Permanent restrictions are perceived as something normal. People pick up such behavior and in fact, go on diets, even if their body mass index is quite within the normal range. And they do it from an early age. Up to 66% of teenage girls and 31% of boys have tried dieting at least once, which can become dangerous with the mentioned eating disorders. If you find yourself in one point or all of the above, watch how to stop a hidden diet. As an alternative to diets, psychologists and nutritionists offer conscious, or intuitive nutrition. Its essence is to listen to your body and choose food based on your own feelings and needs. Here are a few basic principles of intuitive eating. 1. Do not divide food into bad and good. If you are hungry and feel that of all the options you really want to eat a hamburger or a piece of cake, there is no point in denying yourself. Eat and enjoy. Once you stop blaming yourself for the wrong diet and demonizing food, it will no longer be a forbidden fruit. You will begin to relate to food more calmly. You will not have any reason to overeat, throwing illegal chocolates, chips or buns into yourself. 2. Don't practice fasting. If you feel that you're hungry, and you understand that this is a physical hunger, and not an emotional one, do not endure it, eat and enjoy. Severe hunger eventually leads to overeating and prevents you from hearing your body. To distinguish physical and emotional hunger, remember when you last ate and what it was. If more than 2 hours have passed since the last meal, or it was not satisfying and varied enough, most likely you are really hungry and it's time to eat. 3. Provide yourself with a variety of food. Try to always have as many different products as possible at home: cereals, vegetables, fruits, meat, poultry, fish, milk, and others. To understand what you need now, you should have at least a minimal choice. Quite often, people go hungry, and then break down but starve again, because they didn't buy food in advance, but don't feel like eating the leftover pasta. For the same reason, you should strive to ensure that you always have at least one ready-made dish in your fridge. 4. Learn to recognize when you are full. Due to endless diets, restrictions and subsequent eating, most people simply don't understand when they are hungry and when they are full. They don't feel the point after which overeating begins. They don't trust themselves. They try to control the portion size, and in the end they make it even worse. Intuitive eating experts advise you to eat slowly and thoughtfully, listen to yourself and track the moment when you are already full. And also try, in principle, not to eat without a feeling of hunger, even for the company, even if there are only a couple of spoons left on the plate and it's a pity to throw it away. 5. Be careful with your emotions. Sometimes we eat not because we are hungry, but because we are anxious, happy, or sad. The problem is that few people know how to live emotions sensibly and ecologically without breaking into addictions and other destructive behavior. You need to try to establish contact with your feelings, learn to distinguish them and find a way out for them. It's not that easy though, but if you try stop yourself when feeling anxious and ask yourself, what I'm feeling right now, enumerate all negative emotions and allow yourself to ecologically go through them, you'll simply feel a relief and notice that food is not actually needed. In general, if you have trouble getting out of a hidden diet on your own, your best bet is to see a psychologist who specializes in eating disorders. What about eating before going to bed? It is best to stop eating 3 hours before bedtime. During this time, the food will have time to digest, but you will not have to go to bed with a feeling of hunger. Eating before going to bed goes against our circadian rhythms, the shifting between wakefulness and resting patterns. One nighttime snack will not break them, but a regular night watcher can bring them down. The body would decide that you need to be energetic at night and rest during the day. But this is not the only problem. Since food should provide energy, the need for it changes during the day. The body regulates its sensitivity to insulin, the hormone of carbohydrate metabolism. In the morning, the sensitivity is higher so that the calories from breakfast immediately go into fuel and make us more energetic. In the evening, it is lower, so everything eaten is sent to the store in the form of fat, and is not burned. What can you eat at night? If your work schedule doesn't allow you to eat earlier, this does not mean that you need to starve. With an empty stomach, it is more difficult to fall asleep and get a good night's sleep. You just need to choose food that will bring you benefit, for example, steamed vegetables, plant-based protein foods such as hummus or beans, healthy fats, like some peanut butter, yogurt or cottage cheese. If you really want something sweet, you can add a little fruit or dark chocolate. This meal will provide the body with protein and a small amount of healthy fats to feel full. It is also important not to overeat in front of the TV or phone. If you can't give up harmful foods, remember that it's better to eat 1 or 2 cookies than a whole box. What are the foods to avoid before going to bed? To sleep well and not gain weight, it is better to avoid foods with lots of sugar and fat. In addition, it is useful to give up on caffeine, especially in sugary sodas, and alcohol. They will only interfere with sleep and will not bring a single benefit, and regular drinking before bedtime for relaxation can turn into an addiction. The bright side of life wishes you to stay healthy and satisfied with yourself every single day. Comment below if you find yourself in the mentioned situations and if our video helped you find an answer. Like this video, and subscribe so the bright side of life is always with you.